It was supposed to be a dream vacation that in May of 2007, the McCann family traveled from the UK to the picturesque resort town of Praia da Luz, in southern Portugal. A place where sun met the sea, and worries were left behind. Jerry and Kate McCann, both doctors, were accompanied by their 3 young children, including their 3-year-old daughter, Madeleine. They were staying in apartment 5A of the Ocean Club Resort. Days were spent by the pool. Nights were quiet, with dinners shared among friends. But what happened on the evening of May 3rd would become one of the most haunting and perplexing missing persons cases in modern history. That night, as the adults dined at the Tapas bar just 50 meters from their apartment, they took turns checking on the sleeping children. Around 10 p.m., Kate McCann returned to the apartment. She noticed something off. The door was open wider than before. The bedroom window was ajar. And Madeleine was gone. Panic erupted. Friends, guests, and staff searched the grounds, calling her name. The local police were notified. But there was no sign of forced entry. No sound had been heard. It was as if the child had vanished into thin air. The story exploded across international headlines. A missing girl, blonde and wide-eyed, taken from her bed in a foreign country. The photo of Madeleine, smiling in a pink hat, became etched into the collective consciousness. The Portuguese authorities launched an investigation, but it was rocky from the start. Suspicions swirled. Early on, investigators considered the possibility that Madeleine had wandered off. Then, theories of abduction emerged. But soon, attention turned, shockingly, to the McCanns themselves. How could 2 educated, composed parents lose their child while dining nearby? The apartment showed no clear signs of struggle. The only evidence was a partially open window and a scent picked up by a cadaver dog in the rental car the McCanns used, weeks after Madeleine disappeared. For Portuguese police, it raised red flags. For the public, it raised even more questions. Then came the media frenzy. British tabloids swarmed the town. Rumors spread like wildfire, sightings in Morocco, in Spain, even claims of adoption by a wealthy European family. Psychics weighed in. So did conspiracy theorists. The case, now fully global, transformed into something larger than life, and perhaps more dangerous than truth itself. In September 2007, Portuguese police officially named the McCanns, arguidos, formal suspects. The backlash was immediate. Critics accused the authorities of deflecting blame. Supporters of the McCanns decried the incompetence of the investigation. The press became both weapon and witness, amplifying every whisper into a shout. By the following year, with no body, no confession, and no definitive trace of Madeleine, the Portuguese case was shelved. The McCanns were cleared of suspicion. But for many, doubts lingered. How could a child vanish, and leave nothing behind? In 2011, the British government launched their own inquiry, Operation Grange. Scotland Yard assigned a team to re-examine every file, testimony, and theory. Over the years, they pursued thousands of leads, from known sex offenders in the region to possible human trafficking networks. One suspect emerged more prominently than the rest, a German man with a long criminal history, including child abuse and rape. He had been living out of a van in the Algarve around the time of Madeleine's disappearance. In 2020, German prosecutors declared they had evidence suggesting Madeleine was dead, and that this man, identified as Christian Bruckner, was responsible, but they had no body. No physical evidence. No confession. Just circumstantial connections and a mounting sense of frustration. Once again, the world found itself in a familiar place, watching, waiting, speculating. The McCanns, meanwhile, never gave up. For years, they spearheaded campaigns, raised funds, and gave interviews. Their website, findmadeleine.com, still stands. Kate McCann even wrote a book. They clung to hope, or at least to the need for answers. Then, in 2019, Netflix released a documentary series, The Disappearance of Madeleine McCann. With 8 episodes, it reignited global attention, dissecting every lead, misstep, and mystery. But notably, the McCanns refused to participate, stating it could interfere with the ongoing investigation. Still, the series introduced the case to a new generation, and resurrected old controversies. Viewers were drawn not just to the crime, but to the story around it, the media circus, the cultural divide between Portuguese and British systems, the public's insatiable appetite for heroes and villains. The case had become a mirror, reflecting how we react to fear, innocence, and uncertainty. Now, more than 15 years later, Madeleine's face has hardly aged in public memory. Digital age-progressed images show a teenager, but in the minds of many, she is still that wide-eyed girl in the pink hat. Her case remains unsolved. Her fate, unknown, but the story of Madeleine McCann is no longer just about a missing child. It's about how stories are told. How truth can be twisted. How the need for resolution can overshadow the absence of evidence. Some believe she's still alive. Some are convinced she never left that room. Others think we may never truly know what happened on that warm May evening, but one thing is certain: the disappearance of Madeleine McCann changed the world, and left behind an echo that still haunts the night.